Hello, welcome to Geeking Out with Shad. One thing that I'm realizing the more I drive EVs, and I've been driving EVs now purely for the last couple of months, with the exception of the couple of times I've driven my truck. But I've been driving for a long time. I'm 55 years old, and it's interesting because what I'm realizing is when I look at this gauge here, see how it says 42% and has the battery there? Um, that is no different than a fuel gauge on a gas powered car. Like, the more I drive, I'm starting to ignore the remaining range. So it shows 100 there as my phone goes into focus, 100 there as the remaining range, but it shows 42% gauge, 42% battery left. No different than if I had 42% fuel left. And on cars with fuel, you just have a needle that just kind of, and they're wildly inaccurate. Like, it's like they sit over there in the full forever, and then they take forever to get to half a tank. And then once it gets to half a tank, it just starts dropping much rapidly. And I have no idea why car companies haven't figured out how to fix that problem, but they haven't. And so, yeah, what I'm realizing is the more I drive EVs, the easier it is for me to just accept it like a fuel gauge. And I don't get nervous anymore. And all I really do is I watch the percentage of battery left. And then when the battery gets down to kind of a uncomfortable percentage, you could say, maybe usually it's like around a quarter, so 25%, 20 to 25%. Then I want to plug my car in and recharge it. I'm very similar when I drive a gas-powered vehicle. When I get down to a quarter tank or below a quarter of tank, I want to refuel it. So this whole idea of range anxiety doesn't exist anymore for me. This Volkswagen keeps triggering the voice activated thing, like I want to ask it a question. I have no idea why. There's a lot of little quirky things about this car that drive me crazy that I don't have with the Bolt EV. But anyway, and it's all software related. So the gauge is just a gauge. And when I'm driving around in the city and whatever, I'm like, oh, I got 41% battery. Plenty of battery for driving around town or whatever. And if I know I'm going to go on a longer drive, like the next day or something, I can just plug my car in and have it at a full charge for the next day if I'm going to do a longer drive. Like, and the convenience of it is amazing. I don't have to go to a gas station and wait in a line, deal with the gas station and the gas station attendant. I'm so glad that we can use credit cards at gas stations, because before that, I just saw a meme recently, but about the person in the front of the line doing the lottery thing, and you're stuck behind them waiting for them to pick their thing, scratch their scratch off, all this stuff. Like, I really don't like going to gas stations, especially when you're having to, get your car in there somehow because it's busy or whatever, and there's other people you have to wait or whatever. With an EV, you just plug it in at home, at least if you have that convenience. Or if you don't, you find a EV charger, and they're usually pretty available and easy to plug in at. But it's it's not the same, but it's very similar. It's just a little different. Like, how do you refuel? An EV is quite different in that respect, but the fact I can plug in at home and have my car charged like overnight is like a game changer. So um it's weird because when I first started driving EVs a lot, I had that kind of weird range anxiety, and I kept looking at the how many miles remaining. And my Tacoma, which is gas powered, also has how many miles remaining. And neither vehicle is it even close to accurate. I mean, it gives you a general idea, but it's not accurate, because if in my truck, if I'm driving faster speeds or I'm stop and go a lot in traffic or whatever, the gauge isn't accurate. And in the EV, same thing. Like, if it's colder out, it's not accurate, whatever. But what is accurate is the remaining amount of fuel or the remaining amount of battery. And now that my mindset has shifted to that, I don't have range anxiety. I'm not nervous about, oh, I'm going to run out or anything. I do what I always have done for many, many years of driving vehicles that have fuel gauges. So it's kind of these fears that people have, or even when I watch videos or read about EVs, and they always bring up range anxiety and all this stuff. They don't really exist. You learn to shift your mindset, and it happened to me within a relatively quick time, to where you're just not worried because you can sit there and look and know what's left, right? The only time I would ever have range anxiety, and it's happened to me with a gas powered vehicle too, is I'm out on a road trip somewhere and I'm getting low on fuel, and I'm like, where's the next gas station? Where's the next gas station? Well, same thing in an EV. Well, where's the next charger? That, I'm going to admit, is still kind of an issue, but we're not talking about road tripping with EVs. We're talking about using EVs as your daily driving around in an urban area, using it to get to work, using it to do your chores, all that stuff. They are so convenient. It's unreal how much my mind has shifted. I remember seeing EVs before I ever owned one and drove one, and being like, oh, that person, how do they know that they're not going to run out of electricity? Like, I'd ask myself that question. It's so ridiculous. Now that I'm driving an EV, I'm like, it is so convenient. It is unreal how awesome it is. And then the fact that I can just plug in at home, don't have to deal with the gas station thing, don't have to pay the ridiculous prices. I don't have to not know what it's going to cost, because gas prices are all over the place, especially this last summer. And so on and so forth. So there you have it. Just wanted to do this video, and it ended up not being super quick. Anyway, I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace. And yeah, I don't have to plug in yet. I've got a good couple of days before I need to plug this car in.